Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to work on making a quiz. So obviously, there are many NASOT elements that this will actually relate to with assessments and tracking progress and students getting a chance to look at if they're understanding the content and so on. So first thing that we're going to do is we are going to make a new form. Now there's two different ways that you can make a form. You can either go through Google Forms, which is where you open up a new tab, you go over here to the waffle and open up a form. Another option for you is that you can actually go through Google Classroom and make one. So you go to your classroom, click on classwork, create, quiz assignment. And then it will give you a blank assignment with a Google form already in it. So then I can give this a title. And I go into the form and I am going to give it a name. So we'll say for life science assessment. Okay, and I can do that again. So go ahead, take a second, and you may go ahead and try that out. Okay, so our next thing that we are going to do after that is we are going to work on the settings. So I go over here to where the little gear is and I click on it. Since it is something that you are sending to students, I would select collect email addresses. And the reason why is because it will automatically collect their name and their email address, so then it will connect to the student. Another thing that for quizzes I do check is restrict users to the Cedar Rapids so that we're sure it's only our students. The first time I give the test, though, I do click limit it to one response. Later on, I will change that if I allow for retakes or things like that. So, but for right now, that's clicked. I do not click edit after submit because if I want students to retake it later on, that might be something, but that's not what I'm planning on doing on this. See summary charts and text responses. We do not want to allow that because then they would be able to see what other students answered on the test. For presentation, I do usually like the progress bar so that they kind of know where they are. If it is a situation where they shuffle the question order, go ahead and do it. This particular assessment is not going to be the type that you do that with. And because I already said only one response, it automatically took this one out. But if you only want students to take it once and not to submit it twice, you're going to have to go in and uncheck that. And then if you want to, you can type in okay. Then the last one is this will automatically be marked as a quiz if you are going out of classroom. It might not automatically be marked as a quiz if you are going through Google Forms. So you are going to have to make sure that that's checked if you want it to behave like a quiz. You can also turn on locked mode so that students will not be able to open tabs and such whenever they are taking it on a district computer. It might cause some problems though whenever students try and use their own personal computer to take the tests and that sort of things. So kind of gauge what you think works best for you. Now, release grade. If it is a self-correcting test, yes, absolutely, immediately after each submission might make sense. For what I'm doing, for more of a short answer type of quiz, you're not going to want to have it grade automatically because it won't be able to. So I'm checking later after manual review. Then afterwards, it just gives some different things that students are allowed to see. So point values, what they'll be able to see their scores, their correct and missed answers and such. Then you have to come over here and hit save. So go ahead, take a second right now and go ahead and make your settings for your Google form. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start adding in content. For this, I am going to be using a district life science assessment for 4th grade that I have here. So I'm taking this paper pencil test and I'm just going to change it into more of a digital test. So I'm highlighting and copying, and I just go over to my form. And for this part, it's just kind of text at the top, so I'm going to add in a text box. And this will just be text. It won't be a question or anything. It's just kind of there. So that's in. Now, if I look at this test, there's this big table that's here that I'm going to need to include. This is not something I can just highlight and put in. So I can save the picture somehow and put it in. Another option is to use the snippets tool. So I took a snippet of it and I saved it. Then what I can do is I can go into the form. There we go. Okay, so you have several different options for adding. You can take a picture of the camera. You can use your URL in order to be able to put in a picture, photos, etc. You can search up pictures on Google Drive. But for what I'm going to do, because I already took that snippet, I am going to do upload if it'll let me. There we go. So I hit browse and I find my Ellodia Snap. And that'll put it in. Now that's really big, so I'm going to kind of shrink it down just a little bit. I think students will still be able to see that. And I can give it a title. Ellodia Data Table. So that students will be able to see that. Now I want the table to be below this. So if I want to change order, I can just click on it and drag it to another space. And there we go. All right, so then I go on to the next question. And this is kind of a short answer paragraph sort of thing. So all that I have to do is copy the text and I go into the question. And this particular one is right now set to multiple choice. What I can do is I can change that. I'm going to change it to paragraph, put in the words, and then what I can do is I can go into answer key. And because this is like a short answer sort of thing, it doesn't really make sense for me to say what the answer is, but I can at least give it a point total if I want to. And then I can hit done. And then that way students can kind of see how many points a particular question might be worth, or kind of giving an idea of, the importance of the different ones. So let's say I want to add in another question. This time we'll say I want to add in a multiple choice question. What is Ellodia? And I can type in what my different things are. Another kind of cool thing that you can do is on these multiple choice answers, you can put pictures. So if I am a primary teacher, oh, that's a nice lemur there. I can pick a picture to insert with each one. if I'd like to. So I could do another one. I could put a plant. And then that way you can also put in other pictures, maybe that you have snipped out of something else. So and there it goes. And with the file upload, you can have on a piece of paper, draw a like we'll say, draw a picture of an Elodea plant. And what you can do is you can have students take a picture of it. Take a picture of your drawing. And that's that one. Now, one of the things that I haven't mentioned yet is you can actually make certain things required. So, like for instance, any of these questions that I'm like, the student needs to answer, they can't just fly by it, I hit required on it. And then that way they must answer those before they can submit the test. Some other kind of cool things that you can do is you can add in a YouTube video of you explaining something, or I might put in a video of something happening and the student has to explain it. There's also another part down here where you would be adding sections, and that has to do with something called branching, which will actually make it so that the test will do different things if students answer questions a certain way. And I did put a link to a video that kind of explains how to do that if that's something that you're interested in. So I'm going to pause for a second, take a second if you'd like to, and go ahead and make a few questions for your quiz.